Sometimes filmmakers deliberately limit their artistic tools to create a greater impact. Let's remember the tunnels, caves, and dark rooms where writers and directors have trapped their characters across various genres. Most of the action takes place on a train, where a young passenger tries to solve the mystery of her compartment mate's disappearance. After all, it's not so easy to vanish in a moving train, right? The situation is complicated when other passengers insist there was no one in the compartment at all. The heroine's investigation is based on a simple theory. If the woman didn't leave the train, she must still be on it, no matter what others claim. An intriguing detective story from Alfred Hitchcock, constantly keeping viewers guessing. 12 Angry Men, a classic legal drama that has held an unofficial title as one of the greatest films in history for decades. A jury is preparing to deliver a verdict on a teenager accused of murdering his father. Most of the film takes place in a sparsely furnished, well-lit room, where the growing tension between the jurors becomes palpable. A key element influencing their desire to reach a quick decision is the oppressive confinement. As the minutes pass, it becomes increasingly unbearable to be in such a cramped space. As the investigation deepens, the director intensifies the focus on physical discomfort. Sleeves are rolled up, beads of sweat are quickly wiped away. This emphasis on discomfort helps turn the jurors, who are initially strangers to both each other and the audience, into fully realized characters with their own distinct personalities. A classic submarine film, Wolfgang Petersen's excellent military drama, is worth watching even without this list. However, it's impossible not to highlight the unforgettable scenes set inside the submarine. What could be worse than being trapped in a tight metal cage, sinking into the depths of the sea with no escape? The crew members seem to mentally say goodbye to life more than once. A tunnel beneath the Hudson River, blocked on both ends, engulfed in flames and flooded. The writers created a true hell on earth, with a single accident involving a truck carrying toxic waste. But for every inescapable nightmare, there's a Stallone. And in this classic disaster film, everything falls into place. No need to fear claustrophobia while watching Phone Booth, but the protagonist, trapped in what is essentially a glass, vertical coffin, certainly feels the pressure. Though the street is right outside with millions of people around, if he goes against the will of the unseen assailant holding him at gunpoint, he'll end up on the pavement with a bullet in his chest. It's hard to imagine a smaller, more terrifying space than that phone booth. This is one of those cases where confined space is maximized to create a low-budget, yet incredibly terrifying and realistic horror film. A group of women descending into an uncharted cave finds themselves cut off from the surface and encounters some not-so-friendly mountain dwellers. After watching this, it's hard to imagine ever wanting to explore mountain caves, ancient catacombs, or dungeons, places that intrigue every adventure seeker. Another example of a military drama, this time from Israel. Winning the Golden Lion at the Venice Film Festival, the film tells the story of the crew of an Israeli tank during the 1982 Lebanon War. The entire action takes place inside the tank, in a cramped and hot space where the hardships and horrors of war are faced by very young officers. The most terrifying nightmare, familiar not only to the hero of Buried, but also to the character in Tarantino's Kill Bill, is waking up in a coffin underground. Cortez' thriller is notable for the fact that almost the entire story takes place inside this cramped box, sending chills down your spine. And for those who feel uneasy in small spaces, watching this is highly not recommended. A single room can indeed become an entire world, and unlike abstract genre concepts, Lenny Abrahamson's film poignantly illustrates why Joy was kidnapped as a teenager and how years later she raises her 5-year-old son while constantly planning her escape from the man who imprisoned her. The film is divided into 2 parts, before and after. First, there's the grim box of a room, the mother and son, the terrifying visits from old man, and the dreams of what life will be like once they see the light of day. At the beginning of the film, the framing and the feeling of the world are unbearably oppressive, as the cold walls and the confines of the victim's social role create a sense of hopelessness that is both crushing and terrifying. Somewhere off the coast of New England, on a small island, stands a lighthouse. The only inhabitant is a lonely, drunken lighthouse keeper, soon joined by a young worker eager to learn the trade. The gloomy, stormy landscape, tense atmosphere, and constant drunken stupor lead the newcomer to terrifying, mystical visions. This horror film introduced the world to director Robert Eggers. At first glance, the space of the lighthouse doesn't seem cramped or enclosed, but it certainly isn't less claustrophobic. In this film, the protagonist is trapped not by stone walls, but by something far more dangerous and insurmountable: the elements.